All right, guys, y'all know the deal. This is 2 Minutes of Tea, the pre-show before the main show. Thank you again for tuning in to another episode of the Tea Time with Uncle Twirl. So excited to have you here. Really appreciate all the support. Make sure y'all are commenting, liking, subscribing. I love to see the comments because I will engage. Something that's been on my heart, the episode that we're filming today is with an immigration attorney, the one, the only, George Aigbe. And so, like, it is essential that you guys are taking notes, you're writing things down, you're listening to what he's saying. If you are in a situation where you need an immigration attorney, you're in a situation where you know someone's being impacted by the current political climate, especially with immigration policy changing so rapidly, this is the episode for you. So please make sure you're commenting, you're liking, you're sharing. He is sharing some really, really important and vital information with me, with you guys, and make sure you are using it because you got to protect yourself. You got to know your rights. You got to have a plan. And remember, most importantly, you are not alone. You have a community who loves you, who is here to support you. And that's the whole point of this podcast, truly. So I hope you guys enjoy the episode. And yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. You can leave them in the comments and we will get you the resources you need. I mean that. All right. Well, enjoy the show. Bye.
It's tea time with Uncle Twirl. Let me go grab my coat.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Tea Time with Uncle Twirl. I'm your host, Uncle Twirl. Y'all know what it is. What's in your mug is your business. We have a very, very special guest sipping and spilling with us today. Y'all, immigration attorney, agent of change, girl dad, newlywed, and world traveler, George Aigbe is here, y'all. Y'all better give it up for him. Yes! Give it up. Okay, cheers, my brother.
Hey, man, salud.
Welcome. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, this tea is hot, y'all. That almost got me. Woo! We are drinking Brooklyn tea. Y'all know black-owned tea, black-owned businesses. Make sure y'all support them. The tea is really good. I think this is the cherry ribose flavor. Is it giving?
It's great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
really, really yummy.
good.
Okay, because we support black-owned everything. All right. George, how are you?
I'm great.
Boy, you're looking clean, boy.
I'm just trying to keep up with you, man. Yeah.
I appreciate you being here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So before we get into, the interview segment, I figured we play a few games, loosen things up.
Let's go.
So y'all already know the first game we're going to play is called Sip or Spill. It's basically a rapid fire game.
Okay.
I'll give you two options.
Okay.
You'll pick which option you prefer. If you don't want to choose, okay, you're just going to take a sip. Okay. Because we don't force nobody to do nothing around here. We believe in consent. It's important. All right. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
I hope so.
The first one is lemon pepper, wet or dry?
Oh, dry.
Period. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, like a dry rub, like a
dry rub.
Period.
That's easy.
Stranger Things or Game of Thrones?
Ooh. Oh, okay. I'm gonna sip on that one because that's hard.
It is.
That's hard.
Both really great series. Are you watching Game of Dragons or throwing the dragons on the throne?
House of Dragons.
Thank you.
I think that's not what it's called, but I'm watching it.
It's
anything Game of Thrones, I'm locked in.
Yeah. They have a spinoff. It's like some night show. I just saw the trailer.
For real?
Yeah, it's like the Green Knight, the Knighthood, something. They are getting all the money they can out of them actors.
Yeah, I'm gonna be watching it no matter what.
Set. Are you excited? Last season of Stranger Things?
We've been talking about it for the last 3 months. Like, we're ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel weird, but like I love them kids. I'm watching it.
And they're getting so grown. I'll be watching it. I'm like, oh, look at these college kids still in high school. I love it. Okay. Thurgood Marshall or Clarence Thomas?
I think I'm gonna go with Thurgood. I don't even have to drink on that. That's crazy.
I didn't write these. These are things that people want to know. So okay. Georgia Southern or Georgia State?
Georgia Southern.
Period. The real issue.
Shout out to Georgia State. I'm making my money off of that degree, but it's still Georgia Southern for life.
Okay. We love that spread out school. We love y'all. American Gangster or All About the Benjamins?
Ooh, okay. I'm going to say American Gangster.
Okay, I respect that.
I can quote All About the Benjamins, the whole movie. I can. I really can.
It's a classic.
Yeah.
Iconic. Literally. Okay. Jay-Z or Outkast?
Outkast.
Period.
They would have to kick me out the city if I said anything different.
I was going to be like this. All right, look, don't let this New York guy fool you.
Interview over, right?
Black or Old Gold?
I'm gonna say black. Black, yeah. Black is universal for sure.
Period.
Yeah.
Curry chicken or jollof rice?
I'm gonna cause some controversy. I'm Nigerian, but I like curry chicken. The curry chicken is better flavor wise.
It's so good. Do you
Yeah.
like the Indian curry chicken or like the Jamaican?
No, I said curry chicken, not chicken curry. Come
Period.
on.
Period. Because there is a difference.
There's a
There is a difference.
That's how you know who.
Okay, that
That's how
part.
you know. Yeah,
I just had to make sure. Look,
it's curry chicken.
prosecutor or defense attorney?
Defense attorney.
Period. Okay.
I don't even tell people I was a prosecutor, but
We don't judge.
It's neither here nor there.
We don't judge. Okay, he was a good one. Okay,
Yeah.
he was doing the normal sentences. Cartagena or San Juan?
San Juan.
Period.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, San Juan, man, it's beautiful.
I love Puerto Rico.
I love Puerto Rico.
Y'all, if y'all haven't been, go. It's a magical place.
Yeah.
Okay, very, very good times. You slid through that game. That was easy.
It was easy.
Like you barely sipped. I'm very impressed.
Honestly, I'm just taking it just because it's good, but
Okay, so the next game we're going to play, y'all, is called Mic Drop. So essentially how this goes is our lovely assistant, Kirsten, she has some words she's going to say, and we have to try to come up with a song title, song lyric
Got you.
that matches the word she's saying. Okay, the first person to grab the mic, okay, wins. Okay, so here we go. All right, I hope you're ready.
I'm ready.
I watch a lot of Westerns, so
So should I have the mic in my hand?
it's fine.
Okay.
I feel like this counts. I feel like we can hold it. Let's make it a little easier. Okay, Kirsten, we're ready for the first word.
Whisper.
Careless whisper.
I was gonna say whisper song. Yin Yang Twins.
Let me tell you, that's very Atlanta. That's a good one.
Freedom.
Beyonce, the freedom song. Does that work?
I mean, I don't know the name of it either, but I know she's singing about freedom.
Yes.
Is it Glory? Is it Free Your Mind? The rest will follow?
It's the one with Kendrick.
Look, all the Beyonce fans are pissed.
Like he fake.
How do you not know?
He fake as hell. He's not a real beehiver. I'm sorry, y'all. Thank you.
Okay.
Y'all forgive me.
Home.
There's no place like home. Gang, I love the Wiz. Y'all know I'm a musical kid theater. You know what I'm saying?
He's played this game before, obviously.
Shout.
Sade, yeah. T-Pain.
Yes.
Ooh,
Okay,
yeah,
a legend.
I'm not gonna sing because that would be no. I'm not gonna make y'all endure that. But you know what I'm getting at.
Okay.
If by Destiny's Child, literally. I don't know the lyrics, but I know they got a song called If.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Dirty.
We riding dirty. They want to try riding dirty. I'm bad with lyrics, y'all.
Yeah.
Y'all about to really judge me on this show.
But we're not writing dirty because that's illegal.
Yes.
Okay.
And we were talking about that later.
Okay, we're just singing the song lyrics, kids.
This is not the time, y'all.
This is
This is not the time to ride dirty out here. Come on now.
Your ATO code.
Okay. And I creep.
Yep.
Yeah, just keep it on the down low unless you my man. Don't play with me. All right.
So we've done 7 about 1 more.
Okay.
What's the score? I have no idea.
I'm either. I'm just playing. I'm just living.
Currently, Warren is ahead by 1.
Okay.
So look, if you get this one, you can tie.
Okay.
It's given.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. The next one is elevator.
Me and you, your mama and your cousin too. Come on, Outcast.
Okay, so George tied it. So let's
Yes.
let's tie it.
Incredible.
Let's see which one. You.
Soldier Boy. Does that work? I win?
Look, I definitely was like, now that's the dance. What is the
No, because listen, I'm bad with
Line.
lyrics.
Right.
Like, my wife will tell you, I be messing up the lyrics all the time. So I'm like, let's not embarrass my family by saying the wrong song. But I think that's a Soldier Boy song.
look? It is, and look, you knew the moves. And
I
that's
did.
what's
That's all
more
that matters.
culturally
You saw that.
relevant.
You saw
okay,
that. Okay.
that's
yeah.
Black joy at its finest. Thank you so much, Kirsten. Jordan, y'all give it up to him again.
Thank you.
Mic drop.
Thank
you. All right. So now that you've breezed those games, let's get into the interview segment. Okay. So, I love an origin story.
Yeah.
I love a good background story. So can you tell me where you were born and raised?
For sure.
And do you remember the first concert you ever attended?
Appreciate it. So I was born in Houston, Texas, like a proper Nigerian.
I am learning something new. I did not know that.
Yeah, I was born in Houston as a Nigerian. My parents Nigerian immigrants from obviously Nigeria.
Right.
And then we moved to Atlanta literally maybe like a couple months after I was born.
Wow.
So we've been living in the Atlanta area, basically in the north side, my entire life. And then you said my first
Concert,
my first
yes.
ever concert. It was actually randomly. It was in California. I saw it was like their version of One Music Fest.
Okay.
So they had a bunch of artists. But I remember I seeing Nas for the first time. I was like 7. I was like, I was 18 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. So my very first concert was in California.
Incredible. Look, he flew out. Okay, he's stunned on y'all. Okay, he wasn't at the Fox Theater.
Yeah.
Okay, the Alliance.
Yeah, that was
it
my
wasn't
first.
birthday bash. He was in Cali.
Yeah.
Yeah, I respect that. Nas is incredible.
Yeah, it was. It was. I mean, I was way out in the back. I could barely tell it was Nas, but I was there.
I know the song. I know it's him.
I was present. I was there.
Okay, so you mentioned you're Nigerian American.
For sure.
And for those of you who don't know, George is an immigration attorney. And we
Yep.
know immigration is a hot button issue in this current political climate. There's a lot happening, a lot of very scary things. People are very nervous. They want to know their rights. And so I am curious, being a Nigerian American, how has that part of your identity shaped what you do?
Definitely. I mean, growing up, seeing my parents go through the process, going from green card holders, visas. My parents both came here on student visas.
Wow.
Yeah. So they started off at the HBCU in Louisiana. So I know their story. I know how they had to progress through the system. I remember being very young, having family members deported, and on going through that experience and seeing people that one minute they're there, next minute you haven't seen them in 10, 20 years, right? So even as a young man, I was just like, okay, this is something that if I'm going to do law, I'm going to do something that's going to be relevant to my people. So yeah, that's really how it's been. My mom actually, she just became a citizen, I want to say, in 2010, and what motivated her to become a citizen was that she wasn't able to vote for Obama.
Wow.
The first go around,
right. She was like, I will not miss out next time.
She said she's not gonna miss out. She's not gonna miss out. So she was a green card. She was like a permanent resident for all those years, and then finally, when the first black president came around, she's like, listen, I'm going to become a citizen. And seeing her go through the actual process was a lot harder. I was in college at the time, and seeing her go through that process, I was like, wow, it's eye-opening for me. So she was able to vote for him the second administration.
And Obama, we miss you.
Yeah.
Okay. Every time I see
know
that
how
thing on
good
my
we had
screen,
it.
I'd be like, God,
We didn't know how good we had it, man. We took that for granted.
A president that knows words.
Yeah, like
I'm
piece
embarrassed.
together a sentence, right?
Now, look,
the bar's low now.
This question isn't on here, but since we're talking about Obama,
Okay.
Anytime I'm having this conversation about immigration with people, a lot of them that voted for Trump,
Yeah.
they like to bring up, well, Obama was also deporting people. They called him like the great deporter. Were you an immigration attorney back then as well?
I was not. I became barred in 2016.
Okay. Gotcha. So, right, you missed all of that.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, like, in your opinion, if you even thought about it, like, what would you say are some of the primary differences between like what Obama was doing? Because people love to be like, well, Obama was doing it too, but not like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The primary difference is due process.
Hello.
Come on, that's
okay. Hello.
That's the biggest thing. So the people who were being deported actually had their day in court. There was actually hearings. They were found that they were not eligible to be here, and then they were sent on their way. So yeah, Obama was very, very aggressive in his deportation. That could be a criticism. That's a fair criticism. But there was a process behind it.
Right.
There was, you knew why you're being deported. That's not what we're seeing here.
Right. It's not just like armed, masked police just running through American cities, terrorizing citizens and everyone else.
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty terrible. Okay, look, hey Obama. Y'all, I had to be fair. The bipartisan people be like, well, you just gonna bring up Obama now?
We're gonna bring it up. It's true. It's true.
Okay. So can you remember the moment in your life that pushed you toward immigration law specifically? Because I know it's not what you started off doing.
Right.
Was there like a case, a personal story, something you observed in your own community where you were like, okay, it's time to make the switch?
Thank you for that question. A lot of people don't know, I started off as a prosecutor. My first 4 years at a law school, I was a prosecutor in ADA. So we had a particular case that really kind of was like, yeah, I can't do this no more. It was two sisters that were West African. I want to say they might have been from Gambia or Senegal, but I could relate to them. I know how, coming from a similar background. Well, they had a situation, they were arguing, and if you know anything, you West Indian, you know how we talk. We talk very colorfully.
Yes.
So the two sisters were arguing, and they were saying back and forth. It was something about mail, but one of the sisters basically said, "If you open my mail again, I'm gonna kill you." Well, one of the kids, not really understanding the circumstances, got scared and called the police. And the police arrived, and they were still arguing. They didn't care that the police were right there in front of them. They were still arguing, going back and forth. She said something else. She said, "Girl, I'll kill you." And they arrested her for felony terroristic threats. And this happened to get to my desk.
Mhm.
And so at that time, I'm fairly new into the office. The sister that was the victim in the case, she came to me begging me. She's like, brother, I need you to do something. My sister's been in custody now for X amount of time. She can't get a bond. We don't have the money. It's just me and her, and we have these kids. So I'm talking to my supervisor, and I say, hey, this is colorful language. She's not going to kill her sister. Like, we should be able to do something with this because, one, she's stuck in jail.
Right.
And then, two, because a felony, even at that time, would be, really detrimental to her remaining in the country. And I remember my supervisor at the time was just like, no. She's like, if this was Johnny from Snellville, we wouldn't be offering to dismiss this case. And I was like, but this is deeper consequences. It's cultural.
Right.
And there's a deeper context behind it that I can't ignore. And so feeling that level of that, even in my position where I should have the position of power, because I convinced myself like, hey, I'm the good, like you said, I'm the good prosecutor.
Right.
I got the ability to do things that other people aren't willing to do. There's a limit to that. There's a limit working within the system. There's a limit to it. So I was like, am I going to remain in the system and abide by these rules, or am I going to try to fight the system from the outside? And so that's what I did. I left. That was really the turning point for me, leaving prosecution, being a criminal defense attorney, doing immigration work, because I realized there's a limit to what I can do from that side.
Facts. It's like the whole argument, like, you'll talk to people about mandatory minimums.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, yeah, no, I know you shouldn't be getting this for this because of the circumstance, but there's nothing I can do. Yeah, definitely limits on what you can control. But that's a really beautiful catalyst. I think anytime like something happens that impacts you on a level where it changes like the foundation of why, you know, whatever your why is, like, yeah, that is definitely something you should pay attention to. And let me say that, and now he's doing the good work, okay? This brother made he doing the hard work. I don't know if y'all know what's going on out in these streets.
It's tough, man.
Look.
Tough.
Okay, so let's talk about something fun.
Okay.
You're a newlywed.
Thank you,
yes. Okay. Look, his beautiful wife is back there. Hey, girl. Yes. Okay. So congratulations.
Thank you,
first and foremost. Y'all, the wedding was lit. If you missed it, baby, it was lit. How has marriage and fatherhood influenced the urgency you feel to fight for families who are now being impacted with these immigration challenges?
I think it's just real. Like even before now, I guess I could sympathize for people, but I now imagine like these families are being ripped apart. You know, in most situations, you have people who are citizens living with people who are undocumented. Documented and these are households that are common. And if you can place yourself in your own home and think about the ripple effect of what that might be like if my wife were to lose me, or if I were to lose my wife, or my wife were to be taken and she has no idea where I am. You got to be able to put yourself in those positions. And until you experience that, that love and caring for somebody, it might be hard for you to put yourself in those shoes. So like for me, it's just that added on realization. You have responsibilities, you make these plans. And that's the thing. I think sometimes we talk about people in an abstract way. Right?
They're not human.
Yeah, we talk about them in an abstract way as if the idea of people being grabbed off the street and we have no documentation where they are, it's just something that's just happening. But when you place yourself in those scenarios or place a loved one in those scenarios, it becomes a lot more real to you. So, I mean, every day I wake up thinking like, I'm doing this for these families like I would do it for my own family.
And I often wonder, especially because there are so many GOP members in positions of power, spouses are immigrant.
Right.
Your kids are their
brown.
parents are immigrant, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And you, strangely enough, feel no connection to families who look like yours.
Right.
It is very interesting, like how they can disassociate from that.
It's a dissonance.
Literally.
Yeah,
literally.
For sure.
Okay. All right. So we've been talking about the immigration landscape. Policy is changing rapidly.
Correct.
Especially under the current administration. What's one policy shift that the public thinks they understand, but they usually get wrong?
I think one thing that a lot of people, what I've experienced is beforehand in the prior administration, voluntary deportation was an option for people. And the reason why it was an option for people is because if you were really in a scenario where you found yourself in the crosshairs of immigration and you had no real legal basis to remain in the country, I would recommend to my clients, hey, why don't we do a voluntary deportation? It's not going to create a 10-year ban for you to return back to the U.S. You can come back. There's avenues and channels for you to come back legally. So that's great. You would have your hearing. You knew that you made the choice on your own. Now people are doing voluntary deportations because they're under immense duress, right? People are being taken. They're not having hearings. They're saying, okay, what do I need to do? And they say, I'm voluntary deportation. They sign these papers and they're immediately being deported. Another aspect of it, I know we talked about it, but the reality is people are being sent to places that they've never been to before.
Right. That's what's crazy. Is like you're sending me somewhere. One, it's not sometimes even their country.
It's not their country.
Like not even their
it's
origin.
Not their country.
Like, you know, I'm Panamanian. Why am I in El Salvador?
Yeah. Right. It could be as crazy as that. Like you could be from Uganda and then you're gonna be sent to another country.
Right.
Like that's the part that I think we need to talk about more because people are not really, you know,
they don't get it.
They're not embracing the fact that people are being sent to foreign countries where they might not speak the language, they don't know anybody, and that's happening. Then you're doing a voluntary deportation, not knowing what the laws will be in the future. People were doing it because they didn't want to be deported, have that deportation, and say they're banned for 3 to 10 years coming back to the U.S. They just thought, okay, I can, you know, do this and I can then do it the right way, get a visa and come back. That's not necessarily the case anymore. You don't know when you'd be allowed back into the country. You don't know if there ever would be opportunity. The asylum laws are changing. The way that they're processing asylum is different. So I tell my clients nowadays, engaging with immigration as it is right now, it's a lot of unknowns. It's a lot of unknowns, yeah.
One of the saddest things I think I've seen, I was watching this documentary. This actually came out a couple years ago, but I know the rate has tripled. It's the amount of children that are representing themselves.
Yes.
They don't have the right to, you know, legal representation, and they're like 2, 3 in courtrooms, not speaking the language, and the judge is like, "Do you understand why you're here?" I heard that question so many times.
Crazy.
And the kids are like, "No. Like I don't know where I am. I don't know who you are. I don't know what this is about." It is heartbreaking. And it's like, y'all, it's not just like adults that are being like impacted. There are literal children who are ripped away from their families, and now you have to defend yourself in court.
Correct.
It's crazy. And Obama used to have a fund that he divested some funds from so it could pay for legal representation separately from what like you would get like if you were a citizen. And Trump got rid of that.
Right. It's because a lot of people don't understand that through immigration, you're not entitled to legal representation. You have to pay for it.
Right.
It's not like how if you were in a criminal case, they say, you know, we'll provide one for you if you don't have the funds. You're not entitled to it. So people go in there and they think maybe I'll have somebody explain to me, and no, that's not the case. Right. That's not the case at all.
So one of the big things that's been happening, you see it on the news if you're paying attention to any kind of news, is you're seeing now ICE agents, mass troops coming into U.S. Communities, cities, and basically just ripping people off the street.
Right.
That's very scary for a number of reasons. And this doesn't matter like if, you know, the Supreme Court, I think they passed, we're basically making racial profiling like legal. Like, you know, as long as they think something is off with you, they have the right to detain you.
Exactly.
So I think a lot of people are just questioning right now, like, what are my rights? What are some things that I should know if I'm put in a situation where like let's say if you are witnessing this, what are some things you can do?
Correct. So one of the big things that I got to tell people, got to get this out, that you have a right to remain silent. If you encounter ICE out in public and they stop you, they want to have a conversation with you, the best thing is not to engage with them. Obviously they're going to ask you questions, but you can assert your right to remain silent. You assert your right to remain silent. You can say, I would like to have representation, I like to have my attorney present. You don't have to provide them any information. I tell my clients, don't lie to them because that might run into a situation making that interaction longer. But you have a right to remain silent. You have a right to ask them, am I free to leave? And the reality, obviously, is that they may detain you.
Right.
They may still detain you. And the laws and how they're actually being executed, it's a constantly moving target. But you have a right to remain silent. You have a right, especially to change the scenario. If you encounter them at your home, you don't have to open the door for them.
Okay.
That's one big thing. They may present some type of documentation saying, "Hey, we want to talk to somebody. Can we allow us in?" It's sort of like in centers, they can't come in unless you allow them in.
Right.
And you have to verify that warrant is actually a signed warrant by a judge, not an admin warrant, but an actual judicial warrant that's signed by a judge that allows them inside of your home. They don't have any right to come inside your home. Another thing is that you want to assert your right to speak to an attorney. If you find yourself in the custody of ICE, you want to say, I want to speak to my attorney. I want them to be present here. document everything. I think those are the big three things that people need to be aware of. Don't speak to them. Don't allow them into your home. And then if you find yourself detained, say you want your attorney.
Period.
Yeah.
And so, there are also a lot of people out here protesting.
Correct.
Okay, no Kings,
Mhm.
anti-ICE. And protesters are getting fucked up.
Right.
Yeah, like left and right. I've been seeing, them getting attacked by certain officers, detained, whether they're being peaceful or not. What are some things that maybe some protesters should know if you are choosing to be out here because you want to exercise your right to protest? What are some things you should know while you're out here?
I think it's important that you have a plan in place. We have to be, as a community and as people seeing what's happening out there, got to have a plan in place. So if you're a United States citizen, you find yourself interacting with the ICE. Once again, you don't have to speak to them, but you also need to assert the fact that you're a U.S. citizen. They listen to that,
right?
Because they understand that if they detain a U.S. citizen, there might be a lawsuit following. So assert the fact that you're a U.S. citizen. If you're not a U.S. citizen, if you're here on a green card, okay, this is not the time, but I would tell definitely in that situation, be prepared to have documentation showing, your status, things like that. It may be beneficial. It may cut that interaction you have with ICE a little bit shorter. So the thing is if you want to be out there on the front lines, if you want to participate in this, is having a plan in place. One, a lot of people run into ICE. They don't have the documentation there. They may not have their numbers that they need to call their family readily available. Nowadays, people have to keep numbers on them.
Right.
Another thing that this brings me up to, they don't have a right to search your phone. They may ask to search your person. They may ask to look at your phone. They have no right to search your phone. And so those type of things I think are important, because anything that they may use, it may be a stop where they've been watching you. It may be a stop at like a entry point, like an airport, that people are finding themselves being harassed. Having that pre-plan, like I know what I'm gonna do if I run into these people, is important and can really dictate what happens to you next.
Period.
Right.
Yeah. So look, y'all, this is really good advice. Make sure y'all listen. You got to know your rights. Okay, and having a plan. Look, I wouldn't even thought of. You need to plan it out, even for worst case scenarios, because you just never know.
You never know.
Yeah.
You need to have a plan. Have those numbers on you, like written out, because I need to call this person. I need to call this attorney. I know, so they know where I am. Ask, those type of things can help once you find yourself in a situation where there is a lot of unknowns. Right?
So for people who are trying to do the right thing, they're trying to follow the immigration process. They want to become citizens because people are always shouting that, like, you should do it the right way. There are lots of people trying. It's not easy. People make it seem like it's just this easy thing. You fill it out, you go. It's not. That's not how it works. So what are some common mistakes people make when trying to fix their status that could end up hurting their case?
I see it all the time.
Yeah.
I see it all the time. One of the biggest things that's hard as an immigration attorney to rectify, if somebody has made a petition or application for something that they're really not qualified to apply for. So if you've been previously married and you try to get a visa through marriage, and then that marriage wasn't really genuine, right? And then you come to me and you say, I found a U.S. citizen, we're in love, I want to go ahead and go through this process. And I say, sure. And then I say, I need to know about any previous marriages that you've had. That can create an issue. If you ever submitted an application or you put some information that wasn't accurate, that is a big issue. And those type of things will inevitably pop up in their systems. So previous marriages, divorces, things like that, trying to do it your own way. If you've missed a hearing before, or you had an interview with the immigration agent and you've provided them information that was inaccurate, those type of things become hurdles for people. It becomes difficulties, and it makes your case a little bit more complicated. Applying for a visa when you don't know exactly the laws, because the laws are constantly changing, and so we have to constantly look back. So when you apply for this, what were the laws? And so I would just tell people the worst mistake that people tend to make is going to somebody who's not actually a licensed barred attorney. There's a lot of people out here, notaries. They call themselves different things in different places. Scammers, right? That would say, "Oh, give me all your paperwork. I'll get you, a green card, no problem." Be leery of those type of people, because they may mess you up pretty bad. And then also doing it yourself and maybe putting information that is inaccurate on an application, that can create an issue because they keep a record of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know sometimes, like, especially when you're nervous or like you're afraid, you don't always make the best decisions. You lie.
Correct. Yeah.
Sometimes you'll do things just, out of desperation. This ain't the time.
Yeah. becomes that much more difficult. And I tell people all the time, if they try to think that, oh, I got married to her 10 years ago back in Chicago, they're going to see this. Like, yes,
Yes, yes.
that marriage certificate is
document.
public document, and it will pop up. So also, criminal charges. If you got yourself a DUI in another state, or you got yourself some type of charge in another state, it sticks with you. Those fingerprints stick with you. So you need to tell your attorney up front, like, I have this case, I have that case. If you moved out of state, that case doesn't go away. So yeah, just be upfront. And I would say from the very beginning, any type of interaction with immigration, you need to have a licensed attorney, not just some Instagram person or some notary that they mess up people's cases all the time.
And what makes me so upset, because you mentioned like you might have a DUI or whatever. I hate like the like blanket brushstrokes. They're criminals. They're this. They're that. So many of us have been in situations where like you might have got a little DUI, you might have got caught stealing when you were things happen. Like none of us are perfect, and if a lot of us were being judged on like the mistakes we made or the worst things that like we've like committed, a lot of us would be citizens.
Yeah.
A lot of y'all wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be able to have these jobs. You got to have a little bit more grace. I hate hearing that.
It's such it irritates me because people take this stance, and I think it's really dehumanizing, where they'll say, well, they know they're not here legally and they're committing crimes. And we're talking about driving without a license. We're talking about a DUI, things that people find themselves having all the time. If they made it hard for me to have a license, I wouldn't have a license either. And people are just trying to make a living. So yeah, there is this notion of like, oh, just do it the right way. Just do it the right way. Well, you got to tell somebody how to do it. And a lot of people who are saying that have never even entered this world and know how difficult it truly is.
Facts.
Yeah.
I was reading some of the questions on like one of the citizenship tests. I was like, hell, I don't know this.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, yo, I'm from here. I don't know.
Yeah. I think everybody should have to take the citizenship test. Yeah.
We would all fail, and then we would be like, well, this is dumb. Let's change it.
A little bit more understanding.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Facts. Okay. Let's see. Okay, now this is a big one. So a lot of people are being detained, right? And there are facilities that we're finding out about that aren't listed. They're not even on any kind of registry. Like it's hard for you to find a loved one. So if you have a loved one who is detained by ICE, let's say it happens tonight.
Correct.
What step one, step two, what should families definitely not be doing?
Okay. I would say don't go to a detention center looking for them. Especially, it sounds kind of like, why would they do that? But people have been going to detention centers looking for the loved ones, and then they're undocumented. You never know what could happen. We're in different territory right now. I definitely contact a lawyer if you've been working with a lawyer on their case. There is numbers that you can call to try to verify if your loved one is at that facility. In Georgia, there's 3 major facilities that people might find themselves. The biggest one being Stewart, down there in South Georgia. You would want to call to confirm that they're there, and they move people around. It is difficult. We're in difficult times. Call and confirm where they may be. I think there is a couple hotlines where you can call to try to verify if somebody is in a certain facility. So call, and then call your attorney next.
So there are also people being caught up in a lot of the raids and a lot of the haphazard behavior. I saw a video recently. There was a lady, her car was parked. Some ICE agents, they had just got someone. There were people protesting.
Yeah.
They hit her car.
Yeah, I saw that.
Then stopped, went back to her, dragged her out of her car, and took her too.
Yeah.
And so it's like, if you're in a situation where, like, let's say you have personal property that's been impacted, or like you yourself are just minding your business and you get caught up in it, what should you be doing? What rights do you have? Like, what are some things?
So there's a couple different ways to look at this. The laws are very interesting about what's happening now, all right? When it concerns if you're a U.S. citizen, if you're being detained, you have some recourse. And as a legal profession, we're talking about how, like, lawsuits that might be levied against our own government,
right?
In terms of illegal containment of people. Then there's also, obviously, if there's some type of property damage, figuring out what agency is actually at fault at that. Because a lot of times they're working together. It may be ICE, but they might be working with a local law enforcement, sheriffs, police departments, and things like that. If it's a police department that inflicted damage to your vehicle, you can take it to the actual city, sue the city for your property damage and things like that. So those are options that you definitely want to talk to maybe a civil rights attorney, talk to a local attorney to talk about in those situations. So definitely document everything. You might want to get badge numbers if they're there, and that's another reason why they're trying to avoid identifying themselves.
Right.
But document everything, record everything, because you take that to a lawyer. It might be the basis of a lawsuit. To, in terms of just illegality. Excuse me, butcher that. But doing something illegal, and also the issues of property damage, things like that. So that goes for someone who's here and is a citizen, or somebody who maybe has a different status in America.
Period.
Yeah.
Know your rights, honey, because they can't just be tearing shit up.
You got to document it too.
Okay.
Luckily someone else is documented, but we have to document everything right now.
I was, I'm one of those people, like I see people that, they do different kind of car content, or like they drive Uber. So they have like cameras in their car for their own safety. And it's something I've been thinking about getting, because you just don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just don't know. Like, and I'm very, enemy of the state. They're watching us. They're looking at me through the cameras. But honestly, like, you must, in this day and age, even when we see stuff on video, people will argue.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, no, that didn't happen. It's like, well, I can see it.
I can see it.
You know what I mean?
I can see you.
I can see you.
Right. Yeah. No. I think about that. I'm even saying that, getting a dash cam, because these stops, these interrogations, what they're saying, it becomes your word versus their word, and things like that. Having documentation and being able to get that to your loved ones and things like that. I think is going back to prior planning. If you know that you have a loved one that's undocumented, we got to do extra now. We got to make sure that they're not driving. We got to make sure that they're not putting themselves in dangerous positions anyways. But then if you're going to have a situation like that, where it could be in question and you're frightful of it, having that readily available. Like if I'm a U.S. citizen and I'm constantly with other people who are have a different status, and I know that may put me in a situation where I'm going to encounter ICE, I may keep a copy of my passport with me.
Right.
I might keep a copy on my phone of identification, so it's irrefutable evidence. So if I'm talking to them, that it cuts that conversation short, right? These type of things that the people are talking about in these community meetings is saying, hey, we're going to prior plan. We're not going to let this just happen to us and we be unprepared. So yeah.
So for those of you who don't know, although you should, you have a Nigerian last name.
Right.
I can imagine there have been some challenges with this current administration, with even things that you might have been facing, going to court, moving through your everyday life. What are some of the things that have come up? Yeah, I mean, specifically not for me, but I can tell you about a case that I had with a client of mine that was Nigerian. So he born in New York City. I had a case with him. I got a call 4 a.m. in the morning. I got stopped, pulled over about a really old warrant for a traffic offense. And I'm like, that's crazy. You should get a bond immediately. It's a misdemeanor here in DeKalb County. The wife then calls me the next day. He still hasn't been released. And that we posted the bond like 11 hours ago. That's a little strange. Like, that doesn't make any sense. He should be released soon. And then the next day she's calling me, hey, they're now telling him that ICE is going to pick him up. And I'm like, what? What do you mean? What do you mean? Like, what do you mean? They're like, yeah, like, he's a U.S. citizen born in here, but they're saying because he has a last name that looks interesting, we're going to let ICE sort it out, and that's what they're doing now. And so, we went to the jail in DeKalb County. I had his birth certificate and I had his passport in hand, and I was like, you guys are about to get the biggest lawsuit imaginable, because he should have been released 2 days earlier. They were basically waiting and saying, because now they have this order that local law enforcement has to cooperate with ICE. So anyone who they say, we're interested in seeing more about this person, they still holding him. They're still holding him. And he spent extra 48 hours in jail before ICE, and they called him back and said, hey, his lawyer's here with his paperwork. That's when they finally relented. And that's the power of having representation. Because from the inside, there's nothing for him to do. And who knows what would have happened at that point if ICE actually came in and picked him up. So that's a real, I think these are stories that have to be told, because this is a real life example of how it's changed. Beforehand, he would have been just released. But now they're saying, hey, ICE, if ICE tells you hold a person, they're going to hold you. And I think it's important for Black people, I'm talking to us, for us to know that, like, depending on your last name, what you look like, what they think you sound like, who you hanging with, like, they are using whatever they can to detain all kinds of people. It's not just people in Latin communities. It's not Asian people, Black people. And then also, like, you could be Black and your mama gave you a Hispanic name, right? You could be Julio Hernandez. Okay, how many Black Carloses we know? We got plenty of Black Carloses, right? So, I mean, I tell people all the time that we got to be diligent in our approach, because it always starts off with one, at-risk
demographic, but we're always going to be next in line.
Hello.
We know this.
Always. It's like
we know this.
when the Charlie Kirk situation happened, and then they were trying bomb threats at HBCUs.
Right.
Now there are people hanging in Mississippi, Alabama.
We had nothing to do with
We
it.
always catch the brunt,
Mhm.
even when we're not involved. And so you just have to. You can't be like, well, that's not going to impact me. No, more
we
than
gotta be
likely,
diligent. Yeah.
it is coming. And so, yeah, that's really important. Okay. So there are a lot of, like, let's say, boots on the ground, grassroots organizations that are doing work to combat a lot of what's
Right.
happening. Are there community orgs or legal clinics in Atlanta that are truly doing the work and deserve their flowers on this platform?
Oh man, there's a lot of people that are actively engaged in different preparation.
Mhm.
I work with a lot of Hispanic nonprofits because that's the people who are, straight away being approached.
Mhm.
I'm reluctant because I haven't worked directly with them to give anybody a direct shout out before somebody says I worked with them and they didn't, but
He's like, hold on.
yeah, like don't. George said
Okay.
go this way. But I would say, definitely getting yourself in with people, maybe talking to your community and being more. At this point, I keep on echoing the same thing. We got to be more community focused. This is not the time for rugged individualism because people are getting taken. So finding what is working with your community, and from my experience, not to do a wide brushstroke, but different communities deal with different people.
Facts.
You might have a Venezuelan community in Roswell that have found good success with a certain attorney or a certain agency, right? You might have Nicaraguans in Norcross, or even Cubans in Doraville, Mexico, Mexicans in Doraville having a lot of success with a certain group. You have some people from East Africa that have had good success. You need to find out what's working within your community. Like, who are the people that are trusted? And I would say go in that direction, because that is what is very paramount at this time, being community engaged, having community engagement. So Atlanta Legal Aid is one stalwart that people continue to use, and there's different chapters in each city's Atlanta Legal Aid. You might find your legal aid in your city that you're in. That's one way to start, and they probably work with other nonprofits that could direct you specifically. But I think it's important, especially if you are plugged into your community. So I'm speaking about, how Atlanta suburbs are. You have your enclaves of different people, and what I've learned is those people tend to stick with the same people.
Facts.
So like if you're in Clarkston and you have Somalians in Clarkston, then those people know who are the people to talk to, and I say trust that more than anything I could recommend.
Right. And like I like to piggyback off what George said. Y'all, we all we got.
Yeah.
We've been knew that, but we know for real, we are all we have. So you got to reach across, connect with people in your communities. Like you said, rugged individualism, which I love that. You said that, I was like, ooh, it gave SAT. I like that. You make sure that you have a community that you can count on, because baby, you're gonna need help when the time comes. Okay, so we were talking about different areas, even in Georgia. Are there like regional things that are happening? Like the Southeast is different from like the North and the West is different from the Midwest.
Yeah.
What makes the Southeast such a unique and sometimes dangerous battleground for immigrant rights?
I can only speak for the Southeast, right? We're, as immigration attorneys, sometimes we'll be sitting in on like conference calls and things like that, and I'll hear things that happen in Chicago, happening in New York, and it's like, okay, this is different. And in certain regards, we're lucky because there is sort of like this everything 100 miles into a border is free game for ICE to just detain you, right? It's a little bit different if you're away from the border. The way ICE operates is a little bit different. So Atlanta specifically is not 100 miles from an entry point. So ICE is technically supposed to be operating differently than they would at a border town.
Right.
But what I've experienced as an attorney, a criminal defense attorney, as an immigration attorney in Atlanta, in Georgia, is that there is this hostility towards immigrants, but at the same time, obviously, we need them in a great deal. I'm outside of the city a lot of times. I'm in like cities like Dalton or Dahlonega. And I don't know if you know about these cities, but they have a humongous Latin community because they utilize them so much, right? Rug makers, construction and things like that. So they're there, and these people are living there, but they're being targeted.
Right.
They're being aggressively targeted, and it goes into the criminality aspect of it. So you'll have somebody who lives out there in Dalton, and there's no public transit system out there, and they're going from one thing to the other. And you see they're constantly getting arrested for no license, and they know that these people are undocumented. They have to get around, so they get stopped. They get stopped for nothing, right? And then they're in jail for 10 days and they pay a humongous fine. And that's basically how these little cities are funding themselves, by targeting their undocumented population. It's a really predatory process. And I think that, I know it's easier said than done, but it's like, this is the time where we may have to start thinking as a community, where are we safe? You know, they talk about sanctuary cities and things like that. The difference between somebody who maybe out of status or had an expired visa, because a lot of times that's what it is. They think about these people like they just entered illegally. A lot of these people had visas, and the immigration process is so difficult and hard to navigate. Now their visas have run out, and they're in this gray area where they're subject to being, preyed on. So are you safer out there in Cummings and Canton? And this is very locally specific, but like these are outskirt cities and stuff in Atlanta. If you were closer to the city, if you were in Atlanta, and how they treat you, and the way that somebody who's undocumented gets treated here in Atlanta compared to out there is night and day, completely different. Right. And I tell my clients sometimes, like, hey, at this point, it might be better you just move. That's where we are at this point. I hate to paint sort of like a grim picture, but that's really what it is right now.
Yeah. This is the reality of the state that we're in.
Yeah.
And I also want people to just stop and think. I was talking to one of my friends, and he was like, I can't find lemons. He said every lemon I find is moldy, or it's old, or is this. And I'm like, yeah, because who's working the agricultural?
Come on now.
And then the people that are working it, they don't have enough people to get to it in time. Then they got to pack it. Then they got to ship it. And by the time it gets to you, it's trash. You talked about like rug maker. These are highly skilled people. Okay, I hate the whole, they over here just they're highly skilled. They pay taxes.
Right.
Okay, they are working. They are contributing to your communities. And now we're all suffering because you just thought it had nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
Like you weren't going to be impacted.
And and not to get on my soapbox, but the same people who were advocating for tougher immigration enforcement and things like that, you got to ask yourself, okay, now we're here. We got this really, really aggressive, cruel level of immigration enforcement, and have you seen your life improve at all? Right?
Hello.
Like they painted you this picture that said, "Oh, these immigrants are making America worse."
Yep.
Now we have it, and it's like we still don't see a better America. So what was that for?
I was literally on a work trip. I was in Denver. You're what? I was in Denver, and I was with a colleague. She's African American, and we heard some white guys just behind us talking about immigration stuff. Yeah. And so we were like, why not? So we turned around. We were like, hey, we heard you guys. And so the guy was like, yeah, I'm happy that this is happening because they're out here raping our women. And I was like, oh my God. I said, I'm so sorry to hear that. I said, sexual assault is so serious.
Yes.
I had no idea. I said, who do you know that was like assaulted? And he was like, oh, I don't know anybody personally. I was like, not your wife, not daughter, mother. I said, no woman has told you this happened to her. He was like, well, no. I said, well, what about you? Anybody else? They were like, no. I said, well, why do you think that? Who told you that? Yeah. And then they kind of were like, well, it's just what we heard. I said, well, I hear a lot of shit. Yeah. I said, I ain't seen an alien yet.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of stuff.
Because Fox News told me,
Right. And I'm like, you really have to critically think about like the information you're being fed and if it's rooted in reality. Yeah. Do you know for a fact these things are happening, or are they just talking points?
Just talking points.
You know what I mean?
I sit back and like, okay, now we're what? 11 months, 10 months into this.
God.
Right.
Jesus.
We're 10, 11 months into this. And are we better off?
Right.
We've had this aggressive, cruel level of immigration enforcement, people being rounded up, and then prices are not lower. People are not getting more jobs. In fact, less jobs available. Less. So exactly, they say the roost is coming.
Hello.
Come to roost, right? So we're going to learn exactly that maybe these weren't this wasn't the problem.
Yes,
this wasn't exactly the problem.
They're just a scapegoat. It's like what the Nazis did with the Jews, or like with lots of what white people, some of them do with blacks. You paint a picture of like these people are the problem, so that you don't actually have to address the real problems.
Exactly.
Because it's white on white crime.
As soon as that goes out the way, then they're gonna be like, but now it's this.
Yeah, back to the transgenders. So back to like you just constantly are picking people that are not the problem.
Yeah.
And it's just, y'all, we gotta. I'm really, election night just passed. By the time this airs, that will be old news. But it did happen. And,
Yeah.
there was a blue wave, which made me very proud because sometimes I'd be real concerned with the way people vote here. I'm
Right.
like, are you a real person living in the same world that I'm living in? Because you can't be voting how you voting.
It's unfortunate though, because it seems like we always have to be at the brink of something before people get engaged to vote.
Mhm.
I remember having those conversations at the barbershop, and people were like, yeah, well, I mean, they saying that the immigrants are the problem, so I think I'm like, but it's not though. Look around, like really, like
Yes.
let's think about it. So obviously, I'm happy that people are engaged. Hopefully, we keep that same level of engagement. I don't really care about who you vote. I want people just to be engaged and aware. But yeah, I think if we're looking around right now, we're seeing what's happening. People who are actually involved in it will tell you that it's a lot worse than what we think. It's a lot worse than what's being, I guess, told.
Facts.
Yeah.
Big facts. I know there's a woman, I think she was in Chicago. She does a lot of the outreach work for, people that were detained by ICE that are trying to
Right.
get stuff. And there's video of like some ICE agents, they took her around the corner, beat her up,
God.
took her to the hospital. As soon as they released her hospital, they picked her up again, took her to a facility,
Right.
and I think she was there for like 3 days. And,
Right.
when she was released, let's just say she did not look great.
God.
And so it's like they're using fear tactics to really scare people
Right.
out of like exercising your rights or trying to help people. No, y'all,
Mhm.
no. Because what is one of my favorites? I think it's Zora Neale Hurston. It's like if you are quiet about your pain, they will kill you and say you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't matter. You have got to get out here. You've got to use your voice, rebel and resist in whatever way you feel comfortable. But know that doing nothing is not an option.
It's not. Yeah, sitting on the side is not appropriate at this point.
Yeah.
Another thing that I think is important is telling people real life experiences about what they told you and what's actually happening. One thing that was definitely being promoted is that, we're only going after criminals. We're going after people who are doing things the wrong way. Well, we know that's not true. And I've had real experience with clients where I had a client who was on probation for a misdemeanor, had been reporting normally, doing everything he was supposed to, and everything was good. He started probation during the Biden administration, and he's supposed to be done this year. But he gets a random call from his probation officer and says, hey, we want to meet you in the office. He's like, that's kind of odd. He felt something weird in his spirit.
Right.
So he calls me. He says, would you come with me? And so I reach out to the probation and say, hey, what's going on? Something wrong with his probation. We've been doing everything like he's supposed to. They're like, yeah, we just want to have a conversation with him. As soon as we go there, ICE is there and they pick him up. ICE had told him that they instructed his probation officer, like I said, they're now required to cooperate with them, to call him in. And, obviously he was out of status, but it's not a situation where he's a criminal.
Right.
He's actively working on his probation. He's knocking everything out. And I can tell you the charges that he had weren't serious charges. Not something that we'd be like, oh yeah, this person got to get out of our country.
Right.
So it's indiscriminate. It doesn't seem like they have a rhyme or reason behind it. Anybody who's eligible to be deported, it seems like they've deported. And the administration that we have now has basically set a goal for them. And this is kind of will tell you about what their priorities are. You were talking about Obama earlier. Obama, he had set the record for the amount of people deported in 1 year, and their goal has been for them to exceed that number. They say that we deported more people than Obama ever did in 1 year, and that's the way that they're going about it.
And it's like you're playing with people's lives for essentially like a dick swinging contest.
Yes.
Like it's really not even about policy. You know what I mean?
Call it what it is.
It's ego and impotence.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you're a dad.
Whew.
Yeah, right. Just before I got too far, I was like, let me get back to these questions. Let me focus. Okay, so you're a Faja.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's bring the mood back up.
When your daughter asks, what do you do?
Yeah.
What's the story you want to be able to tell her?
Yeah, I mean, I think about that all the time. I want to have be able for her to say, my dad helped people. My dad helped people. That was my goal when I was a prosecutor. I looked at it. There were some people who were victims that I wanted to advocate for. And then I realized that, hey, the same person who's a victim in this case would be the accused in another case. And I need to be able to help people. So helping people in different circumstances is important to me. And that's really what I wake up every day doing. Trying to find that motivation, trying to find that zeal is hard. But I honestly get it back from my family. My family puts the battery in my back to get out there and really help people. They understand like, hey, what you're doing is important and is valued. So, I want her to know. And sometimes she actually goes with me to court that I'm out there advocating for people, I'm fighting for people, and I'm doing it the right way.
Right.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you earlier because I thought about it because I can only imagine the amount of stress
Mm-hmm.
that attorneys who are working in the immigration arena are facing.
Mm.
What does self care look like? What are you doing to like de-stress? What is it? I know you say your family helps,
Yeah,
reinvigorate
yeah.
you to continue your fight, but what are some other things?
I've learned to have boundaries, right? I
Mm,
think that's the biggest thing. When I cut it off, I cut it off. Like my wife is an attorney too,
mhm.
and so we balance each other out. Like she can vent to me, and I can really vent to her. Like I can really vent to her. I can vent on a level that I thank God for. So I'm able to talk to her and sort of decompress. But I know that at a certain point I got to cut it off,
Right, right,
right?
right,
Because
right.
you can't let it just wallow. You can't wallow
Mhm.
in it. So there are some days that are harder than others. Some days where your client gets deported and you really feel the weight of it, or your client goes to jail and you really feel the weight of it. That is really hard. But I'm thankful that I have a partner that allows
Mhm.
me to really talk to her on a deeper level, that she really gets it. Another thing is that you find joy. You got to find joy in the things that you
Period.
do. So I found things. I think even dating back from the pandemic, because I remember I remember being an immigration attorney during the pandemic, and it was hard too. And that was hard for different reasons,
Right,
right?
right.
Just isolating and stuff like that. And I found different things, like as a person, that I found joy in. Listening to good podcasts, doing things for myself that's fun, taking walks, engaging in like sports and things like that. Doing things that I just know like is independent of anything else, that I can find joy, and I can turn off my phone. I can get away from the doom scrolling and stuff like that.
Right.
And yeah, it helps me. So those having those aspects of my life, and knowing, hey, cutting it off, doing these things that are unique to me, that help bring my mood out, takes me away from the rigors of that work. It helps me stay balanced, and prepares me the next day to jump into it. And then on my weekends, I really do cut it off.
Yeah, like I'm
Yeah.
done.
Yeah, done. Like
Yeah.
in the weekends, I cut it off, and I say I'll be back at it. It's better for myself. It's better for my
Mhm,
clients that they
mhm,
have somebody who's
mhm.
recharged every day.
Facts.
Mm-hmm.
And I would encourage everyone to take a page out of George's book. Something I said at the beginning of this year when you said finding joy.
Right.
I dedicated this year to Black Joy.
Come
I
on
knew it was
now.
going to be a rough year. I knew, whenever else was going to come, I said, I am doing things that bring me joy. I'm doing things for people in my community that bring them joy.
Right.
Just really kind of like reveling in that.
Got to.
And it has made this year so much easier than I think it would have been if I had
Mhm.
just been like caught up in like
Mhm.
the madness.
I think it's important. Like when you do a little deep dive into yourself and become aware, that you might surprise yourself on small things that you do for yourself, that you can do with yourself,
Mhm.
that can make you happy.
Mhm.
If it's you join a club, or you do some, like, you find a new hobby and things like that. Those type of things are self-fulfilling. And I really dived into that deep during the pandemic. We
Facts.
had nobody around. That you had to, like, okay, what do I do with myself?
Okay, because it's on me.
Yeah, it's on you. Yeah,
Yeah.
like you're kind of by yourself. You got to figure these
Mhm.
things out, and so I've carried that into my life now. And say, listen, I'm gonna do this. Like if I need some time to really center myself and be happy, that's what I do.
Period.
So whatever you think it is, do that.
That is sage advice. Y'all better take it. Okay. I don't want to see y'all out here crashing out.
Mental
Okay.
health, we got to do that. That mental health aspect of it is for
Uh,
real. That's a real deal.
Facts.
That's a real deal.
Okay. If this ain't working.
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay, really quickly because we do have to get out of here. George is very busy. I know, guys. Okay. So 5 years from now,
Right.
what's one part of the immigration process you hope is completely reinvented?
Yeah. I really hope that the asylum system is reinvented. But I know we got to be brief about this. But people who are seeking asylum, I think that we got to rethink about it. There's created conflicts all over the world. People are fleeing real life situations,
Mhm.
and I think that if we are going to hold ourselves as this beacon on top of a hill, as the greatest country in the world, there should be a way that we should be able to help people.
Mm.
And there should be a way for us to figure out how we can integrate these people, because I don't think that the way we look at immigration is in the right way, or we're looking
Mhm.
in the right frame.
Mhm.
There should be a way that's beneficial to the U.S. Like
Yep.
I'm not one of the people who's like, oh, obviously everybody just come
Right,
on in,
right.
but hey, there should be a way that's beneficial to the people and beneficial to the country.
Because if
So
we're not doing that, then the American dream is a lie.
right, and we're failing.
It is.
It's failing, and I think that challenges our identity of American excellence. So I think that there has to be a way, and I think that we're growing. The world is changing. We're becoming a more global world, and so we have to figure out how we can engage with the world, engage with people coming into the U.S. in a way that makes sense.
Big facts.
Yeah.
Okay, this is my last question for real. For anyone listening right now who is undocumented, in limbo, or afraid, what's one message you would want them to hold on to at the end of this episode?
I would tell them to be diligent, to be brave, find ways to get into community, and that there's hope. I know right now it might feel hopeless. I know right now you're in limbo and you're afraid. Small things that we take for granted as U.S. citizens that we don't consider getting around might be hard. But the best way to counteract what's happening is to lock in with people, have a plan, and know that God willing, we only have 3 more years of this.
Okay.
I know that sounds difficult, but we only have 3 more years of this.
And hopefully less. Midterms are coming up. Amen.
Come on,
all right,
now.
y'all. Get out here and vote. Okay, y'all. Once again, George, thank you so much for being here.
I appreciate it.
I'm so grateful because this is really something near and dear to my heart. I hate seeing our country in such turmoil. I hate seeing people who are just coming here to try to make a better life for themselves, for their families, for their children, just being ripped apart. And so we've got to do something different, but most importantly, you got to know your rights.
Got to know your rights.
Okay, you do. So once again, George, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. If the people want to reach out, if they want to connect, if they have questions, how can they reach you?
Absolutely. Okay, so you can just look me up, right? If you're looking for a barred attorney criminal case, immigration case in Georgia, you can look me up at my own personal. My name is George Aigbe. That's Aigbe. First name George, spelled traditionally. You can also look at my firm, Daniel Ortiz Law Firm. We do family law, immigration, and criminal. Daniel Ortiz Law Firm. We have our office in Roswell. So if you're looking, if you have a situation and you need help, we're here to help.
Period. You're not alone. Y'all know where y'all can find me. It's Uncle Twirl with an E on all social media platforms. George, thank you again for being here.
Thank you.
And like I always tell y'all, remember, feel free to spill the tea, but don't be messy. All right, bye, y'all.
Bye.